You are listening to Let's Talk Trio on podcasts. Keep up with the latest episodes by downloading the Podbean app or stream episodes via our social media accounts. Search for Let's Talk Trio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This podcast episode is brought to you by Longsdale Publishing. Is your program seeking ways to assess your students' college readiness? Does your program need a tool to document the effectiveness of your program? Longsdale Publishing is excited to offer the Strategic Learning Assessment, a 20-minute online assessment that provides recommendations and strategies to improve academic performance across 11 learning areas: communication, critical thinking, effective learning strategies, focus and concentration, growth mindset, persistence, seeking help, sense of belonging, stress management, test preparation, and time management. For as little as $3 per student, the Strategic Learning Assessment identifies strengths and areas for growth, along with tailored recommendations for each learning area. Want a complimentary sample account for yourself and 5 students? Contact Longsdale Publishing at 727-389-8026. Again, that number is 727-389-8026. Or visit our website for more information at www.longsdale.com. That website again is www.longsdale.com. Longsdale Publishing, your partner in student success. This episode is sponsored by Student Access. Student Access, the leader in Trio software. Student Access is an online database solution that allows Trio programs to track their students' information, connect with students by text messages, streamline the APR, and work from anywhere, all online, with automatic updates for changes from the Department of Education. Their technical support team includes former Trio staff and has over 50 years of combined experience working with Trio. Make it easier to focus on your priority, the students. For more information and to request a free demo, visit their website at www.studentaccess.com or call them toll-free at 1-800-801-1232. That website again is www.studentaccess.com or 1-800-801-1232. Be sure to share your favorite episodes on your social media by tapping that share button. This is a great way to support the podcast. Now here's your host, Juan Rivas.
Thank you, Amelia, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, listener, and welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Trio. This is Season 7, Episode 18. I am your host, Juan Rivas. Before we begin, some community announcements. Trio Nation, be sure to call your congressional representatives to defend the TRIO programs. The Trump administration is seeking to eliminate the TRIO programs in their most recent proposed budget. Take action now by spreading the word and contacting your congressional representatives. Let them know TRIO works. The link to find your congressional representatives is in the podcast description. North Carolina Central University is hosting their annual Student Access and Success Conference in 2026. Click the link located on the episode description to learn more. In today's episode, we have Erickson Aquino, Trio alum and project coordinator for the Educational Talent Search Program at the University of Guam. Erickson is on the podcast to share his own life experience, being a participant in the Educational Talent Search Program, graduating from the University of Guam, and bringing it all full circle by working for Trio. Coming up in just a bit, Erickson Aquino. A heartfelt thanks to our individual supporters, Angelica Villalpando, Rosario Riley, Dr. Ryan Barone, Dr. Jamie Motley, Dr. Jeff Naputi, Angelica Valdez, Felicia Rivera, Eric Lamaster, Jeff Calden, and Jaded Electronics. Thank you to our corporate sponsors, TrioJoblist.com, Nosotros Education Center, Longsdale Publishing, Student Access, and TheTrioStore.com, powered by Proforma. Visit www.thetriostore.com, your source for Trio graduation stoles. Thank you all so much for your continued support of this podcast. You too can be a sponsor of the podcast. Head on over to Patreon and search for Let's Talk Trio. Choose one of 4 patron levels. You can support this podcast for as little as $1 a month. If you own a business that serves the Trio community and want to sponsor the podcast, we have different sponsorship packages available. Contact us for details. Become a supporter with a one-time donation to the podcast business PayPal account. Our business handle is @Let'sTalkTrio. Your support helps lift Trio voices. If you would like to nominate a participant, staff, advocate, or alumni to be on the podcast, send us an email at letstalktrio@gmail.com. That email again is letstalktrio@gmail.com. Again, a great episode featuring Erickson Aquino, Trio alum and project coordinator for the Educational Talent Search program at the University of Guam. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Hi, Trio Nation. My guest on the Let's Talk Trio podcast serves as the project coordinator for the Trio Educational Talent Search program at the University of Guam. They earned their bachelor's degree in Japanese Studies, East Asian Studies, and Philosophy. They recently served as the Western Association of Educational Opportunity Personnel for Pacific Islands, or WestOp PI, as the president. When they are not busy working or serving WestOp PI, they enjoy watching anime. More recently, they enjoy Free Reign Beyond's Journey's End. Welcome to the podcast from a totally different time zone and day, Erickson Aquino. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Juan. I'm so happy to be here. Hafa day, everyone. Like you said, this is Erickson from a whole different time zone, and I'm just so excited to be part of this podcast. Actually, this is my first podcast, actually.
Oh, well, awesome. We glad to bring you into the podcast mold. You are a fantastic, I can already tell you're going to be a fantastic guest to have on this podcast. And you are our very first WestOp PI representative, like in our history of the podcast.
Yes.
So good to have you again. So good to see you and have you on this podcast, Erickson. I appreciate you giving us some time today and to talk about not only your educational journey, but all things Trio. Mm-hmm. So when I initially reached out to you to have you on the podcast, I'm going to be super 100% transparent with you. I did not give much thought about like how we scheduled this and how much of a difference are the time zone there's a huge difference in time zones. So when we first reached out, we were like trying to schedule this, and I didn't even know. Now that we're meeting, I'm like the time zone difference, mind blowing.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think this is one thing that was really a shock factor for a lot of the people I've met through WestOp, through Trio, through COE. Is they always ask me, "What time is it right now in Guam?" or "How long have you traveled to the U.S.?"
Right.
And it amazes me every time because whenever I tell them, "Oh, it's like a 22-hour flight to go to Washington D.C.," or it's already like a day in advance from where Guam is, they're like, "Man, you really do put up a lot of effort to join us today." And it's so funny that they always make it like a little joke with like the other Trio professionals, like, "Hey, if he can make it here 22 hours or like it's 3 a.m. in the morning, we're having a meeting, there's no excuse that you can't be here today." Right.
So true. So thank you for educating me also on the time difference. Again, a lot of it has definitely changed my perception of time. As we were doing research on like when we were gonna meet, I was like, oh, it's already gonna be. So we're recording Mountain Standard Time on Thursday. Erickson is already on Friday, the next day. So
Yes.
that's trippy. That's trippy to me. So we did finally get everything scheduled. Again, so glad to have you on now. We're so glad to have you on the podcast. And again, you're the very first one from WestOp PI to be on the podcast. and we're so glad to have you.
Thank you, thank you.
So, how are
Um,
things? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
how are things in my area?
Yes.
Actually, I think this is a really wonderful time to share it with you and to the Trio family. This morning, I actually woke up and I actually received an acceptance letter for graduate school.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, and I'll be attending Harvard Graduate uh, School of Education coming this
Amazing.
August. Yes, online.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Still, such
You.
a wonderful thing. Thank you so much for sharing your news here. That is amazing.
Yeah, it was a shocker. It's not hitting me yet, but I really do want to thank the three recommenders and my mentors for the past several years already. Past President Westop Dolly Hernandez was one of my recommenders, and she was one of my mentors for the ELI cohort for Westop.
Hmm.
And so when I reached out to her, she had like unwavering support and was like really supportive of me trying to go for this graduate program. And she wrote that letter so quick and just submitted even before the deadline was up. And the other mentor was Dr. Kimberly Williams from Nevada State. And she has been such an amazing mentor as well. Been learning so much from her through Westop, through Trio, through COE. And then lastly, my supervisor, my direct supervisor, our Trio director for ETS here at the University of Guam, Miss Loveland Mangami. She also wrote that letter of recommendation for me, and it's just so amazing how much Trio can support you even after you've graduated from high school and college, and the amount of things you learn from them and
Hmm.
the connections you build. And I really owe it up. I really owe Trio and like all of these blessings because I wouldn't be, sharing this amazing news I got except to Harvard, like Ivy
That
League
is outstanding.
school. And
Yes.
coming from Guam, like myself, like I just dreamt about this when I was younger, like wanting to go to an Ivy League school, but didn't think it would be a possibility. But now it's like it's happening, and like I just trying to figure out how to really feel all this emotions and stuff. But it was just amazing news, and I just want to share that on this podcast. That Trio does work, and it's a really an amazing opportunity that everyone should definitely go into, and because it just changes people's lives.
Absolutely. Again, congratulations. I know that's a lot of hard work to get into the graduate school and to be able to start coordinating on how building out your schedule and doing all that. So I'm sure that that's already floating in your mind. So I'm not going to stress you out too much about it. But again, congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
admission to Harvard. So during the intro, I noted that you are a fan of anime. Can you tell us a little bit about how that fandom happened for you?
So I think growing up, um, growing up, I've been watching a lot of anime, Cartoon Network. So
Uh-huh.
they always had Tsunami up. So I've been
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Yu Yu Hakusho, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon.
Hmm.
But then you also have like WB Kids, the Pokemon,
Oh,
Digimon.
that's right.
And so it was just like it was very different from like American cartoons.
Hmm.
And so when I started watching like anime, I think the reason why it resonated with me a lot was the storytelling. I love the storytelling of
Hmm.
how hard work, you have a dream, you work hard for it. Also about friendship and leadership. So I think it just followed through the years where I just wanted to watch more and more of it, even as I grew into an adult.
Hmm.
But it was very difficult trying to have access to that growing up because I don't know if you this is something that was very interesting to me, and I think might be interesting for you all, was that when Toonami or Cartoon Network was showing like all these anime shows, it was always 2 weeks behind. We were always 2 weeks behind here in Guam.
Mm. Yes.
So everything would be showing in the States ahead of time, and then here on island would be 2 weeks.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but but for the most part, as the years progressed, like when the internet started blowing up, we started having access to anime, like YouTube illegally, so people would just be watching these animes and stuff.
Yeah. The early
But
ages of
now,
YouTube.
yes, like sometimes you would have to watch like part one and then look for
Oh,
part
for
two and then
sure.
part
For
three.
sure.
Yeah.
So growing up, I was trying to look for Naruto, Bleach, all of these new animes, but it didn't really hit me until like when I started seeing like it's anime is constantly rolling out like every season. There's a
Hmm.
fall, winter, spring, and summer, and I've been seeing a lot of these new ones. And with the access with the internet, like Crunchyroll and Netflix,
Hmm.
it just made it more convenient. And before anime wasn't like a big thing, people always looked at those who watch animes as like, oh, they're the anime geeks or the nerds. But you know what? I think I love how times are changing. More people are more open about it.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that it seems like anime has been now almost fully embraced. Almost, right?
Yes.
Like it seems like in the minority community, I remember
Mhm.
growing up on anime. Like in Spanish, they were called the Caballeros del Zodiaco, so Warriors of the
Mhm.
Zodiac. We grew up, that's what me and my brothers grew up on. And then Dragon Ball, then Dragon Ball Z, and then the various animes. But yeah, it was very interesting that initially you're looked at as like, oh, you're a nerd, you like anime,
Yeah.
but now it's become more accepted. It's like, oh yeah, anime is kind of the thing. It's part of popular culture.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that the great thing about it is like like depending on the anime you watch, it has amazing messages
Oh,
also.
absolutely.
Like leadership, resiliency, not giving up, being able to go through all these hardship, but at the end, you get the blessings that you've worked hard for. And sometimes when I watch these animes, I think about like how can I tie that in with working with my students?
Ooh,
Because
very cool.
it's something that is we always share that with trio students. Like, you can do it if you believe in yourself, you work hard, and you put in the work. You'll get the fruits of your labor, and I try to incorporate that with working with our kids here.
Before I jump off of anime, I'm gonna ask you
Mm.
one question for
Yes,
anime. What is your favorite trope in anime?
it's oh man,
I had to ask, I'm sorry.
no, that's a really good question because I think for me, I love seeing s- um anime characters who work very hard
Hmm.
and being able to evolve and build that connections with people because like Naruto, for example, he was always looked down upon by a lot of
Hmm.
people in the villages. He was a hard student to work with, always acting up, but he always kept like a good essence of himself that, I'm gonna work hard to prove to these people that I can be a good leader in the future. And I think that stuck with me with a lot of the animes I watch is that wanting to prove to people that, I'm worth it. I'm
Hmm.
able to do these amazing things. I'll work hard for it. And at the same time, build connections, build friendships with people. Because I think one thing that I've realized with a common theme with anime is that you have to be graceful when how you talk with people and
Absolutely.
also being able to come and approach it with heart because you can't just be fighting violence with violence. You have to understand the individual at the other end to
Hmm.
understand. And I think I see that with a couple of the animes I watch is trying to understand each and every one of us to have that mutual agreement and moving forward.
I like that. Very good response on that.
Oh, thank
So
you.
we're almost done with this year. Can you
Yes.
believe we're already almost at the end of July as we're recording this episode? What are your goals or things you hope to accomplish for the remainder of 2025?
Major 2025, let's see. I really do want to plan out how I'm going to best service our students this school year. I think one thing I've been telling myself while I've been working with Trio is that everything is always changing. Things
Mm-hmm.
students are different. There's always different generations and learning how to adapt to what the students' needs are. So I think pretty much planning out how we can execute our services, but in a very experiential way, like experiencing it so
Mm-hmm.
that it's something that they can take back. Because I think that's what I love about working with students is when they feel connected with the services. And I think that's one thing that I want to work on is how can I best service them with SAT prep or college readiness or their essays or even just building up their confidence. How can we make that more enjoyable but worthwhile and educational for our students. And on top of that, also continue the advocacy because of what's been happening at Washington, D.C. with the Department of Ed and all these news of these TRIO programs that are being affected. I really want to implant that with our students that, hey, you understand what the mission of TRIO is, and you know how important this is to you. And aside from us staff advocating for our program, you guys have the bigger voice in this as well because you guys are experiencing the program yourself. And I think continuing to reach out to our members of Congress and those in office because you know how it works. I always tell them that. And
Hmm.
I see
Hmm.
so much of those results coming through what you've accomplished. And I think I love seeing the transformation where like our students who come in don't really know too much about it as like incoming eighth graders going into ninth grade, but then through the years of seeing how much the staff cares and the trio's mission, it really sparks that like I have someone who is willing to support me through this
Absolutely.
journey.
Absolutely. What is something that you learned about yourself this year?
I think taking risk would be
Taking risks. Okay. How did
yes.
that start, or when did you notice that taking risk was something that you started doing this year?
Well, the like going back into like that the Harvard graduate school, I wasn't
Hmm.
intentionally planning to apply. I
Mm.
was always doubtful myself. It
Mm.
actually, I've researched that school, I think 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and I've always been like, what if, what if, what if? But I always been thinking like I don't have the financials to go to school. Like I
Mm.
don't think I'm good enough, or the
Mm.
imposter syndrome. And I think that's a lot of things that happen with a lot of first generation students also is that imposter
Absolutely.
syndrome is so big. Like what makes you qualify to apply and be accepted. And I think this year, I think I was praying to Jesus, talking to God, and like asking him, "Hey, is this for me? Is this not for me?" Because I
Mm.
was like looking at the program and reading up about it, and then suddenly when I woke up, and so what I did was I actually submitted like my email and my name that I was interested in a
Mhm.
program, and so long and behold, one night when I was sleeping, I submitted that and I woke up the next day. I got an email that says, "Hey, we're starting up this new program for a master's program online." And the application opens in June, just this year, June
Mhm.
2. And you have until July 7 to complete it. And I was like, is this a message from God telling me to just try? Just try it. Like you
Divine
don't have
messaging.
yeah, you don't have to, even if you don't get it, it's fine, but just try.
Right.
Because, it's been 10 years since I've been working with Trio ETS, and I'm like, I've learned a lot. I've met so many people, I've learned so much about leadership, worked with a lot of students. I fully understand what I want to accomplish with helping our kids out, our first
Absolutely.
generation students. And I was like, let me try. And so I took that risk. And, now talking to you about it and getting accepted, it made me realize that, risks are important to take, but just be willing to accept whatever the results are. And I think that's very important because whoever you are, like how many months ago, if you didn't take that risk, you'll never know what would the result be if you
So
never
true.
tried it out yourself, right? So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's rewind the clocks a bit. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your upbringing?
So for me, I was born in the Philippines. My parents when they met, they actually were pen pals. And so
Really?
yeah, they were pen pals. And so my dad when he went to the Philippines, he that was his first time meeting my mom in person.
Hmm.
And I think that time he was like, let's just get married. So they got married. And I was a couple of years later, I was born, but the thing was my mom had to go to Guam first, and so I was left behind in the Philippines.
Mm.
Um, and then when they just needed to take care of all the paperwork, that's when they moved me to Guam with them. And growing up, it was a challenge because both my parents didn't go to college, they didn't go to school. But they knew that there were more opportunities here in Guam than there were in the Philippines at that time
Hmm.
because they both grew up in generational poverty.
Hmm.
My dad, there was nine of them, I believe, nine siblings, and they lived in very torn up places. My dad was one of the kids who didn't go to college because he didn't have the financials anymore.
Hmm.
My mom grew up with 11 brothers and sisters in the Philippines,
Oh,
and
wow.
she was dreaming about going off island and I mean going abroad and living life somewhere. Just because they also struggled financially, with also having a meal on their table because of how difficult it was for them because a lot of kids financially trying to keep them afloat with their meals and stuff. So when they moved to Guam, um, they started anew. My dad worked in construction. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So at that time, we didn't even have that much as well. Like, they were trying to just make sure I was being fed. We were all taken care of. We moved to three different homes. I think our third home was our final home because my mom really pushed for my dad to find a house here in Guam
Hmm.
because my mom knew that it was going to get more expensive along the years, so might as well already take the opportunity to already buy a house.
Hmm.
So growing up, it was a lot of it was my parents working and trying to make sure that we were taken care of. So they always prioritize education as a gateway to overcoming generational poverty. They always wanted me and my brother, my younger brother, to go to college, do well in school, hopefully get a scholarship to pay for school. And so when they've been really like telling us all of this while growing up, it wasn't until my sixth grade year when my homeroom teacher told me about the TRIO programs and how it was going to help us go to college. And
Ah.
and I took that application. I went home. I told my mom, "Hey, I told my dad, hey, this is a program called Trio. They're gonna help me go to college. I really want to sign up and apply." And out of that homeroom class, out of 25 students, I was the only one who applied because
Wow.
I knew that I needed to do this for myself, but also do it for my parents because I know they've been working
Absolutely.
hard to keep me and my brother afloat. And, you know, that journey itself was what made me understand the importance of academics, getting involved, understanding what scholarship opportunities there are. And I even told my brother to join as well, my younger brother. So we both joined together.
Hmm.
And, I owe it to Trey a lot because with them and also teaching us about college and preparing for college and education, me and my brother were able to get scholarships to go to school for free here at the
That's
University of
amazing.
Guam. So
Congrats. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
yeah, so that was a journey like the upbringing wise is like education was something that was very important for our family.
That's awesome. So I'm gonna take a quick second to ask, how would your family describe you?
Mm, depends on the day.
Depends on the
So
day.
depends on the day. If they see me as the academic professional Erickson, they'll probably say I'm hardworking, I'm very involved. I really take care of the kids and stuff, like the students I work with.
Hmm. Hmm.
But if I'm just trying to enjoy my day, like just taking time off and relaxing, they'll probably say like, "Why are you being so lazy? Why don't you go out there and clean the house or something?" Or you know what? So, it depends on the day of the month or what's happening. So I think it's good because it shows the human side of me. Like I'm still working on things that I need to work on.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And it's cool that your family does see you still as a hardworking type within your professional role, that you do everything that you can to help your students.
Mhm.
And I can definitely relate to even on your time off. I'll share with you, Erickson, that I've told my mom that I work from home. And she's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, that's cool. Like, so you work really hard." I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I work throughout the day, but when I catch a break, I'll go lay down in my bed." She's like, "Oh, you're being lazy. That's lazy." I was like, "I'm just taking a small break, Mom." So, anyway, neither here nor there, but just kind of like that funny that they're able to switch from like, oh, you're so hardworking, but then you're like, ah, okay, but you're not doing this right now. Even if you're in your time off, you should be working.
It keeps you humble though. It's like, oh,
Yes.
I could probably do something to be more productive.
May I ask another kind of introspective question is, do you see yourself that way when family describes you in such a way that says, "Oh, you're hardworking," and do you feel like that's you?
I'd say I've learned to develop it after hearing it multiple times from them. There's moments where I do feel like I'm hardworking when I'm in the zone, especially when I'm passionate
Oh,
about
for sure.
something.
Yeah.
But then there's moments where I feel like if it's not for me, it's hard for me to really continue that hard work for it. But I think that's just probably a lot of the doubts that I get. And I've been trying to learn to not be so doubtful and the capabilities that I do have. Like really just put in the work to it and do what you can. And that's one thing that I've been trying to work on. And so do I see myself being hardworking? I do. I'm not going to take that away from myself, especially when I have family and friends who mention that. And I think it's just pretty much seeing what level of hardworking looks like. So maybe I'm at an 8 one day, but maybe I'm at a 10, but maybe
Mhm.
someday I'm on like a 6 or a 5. But there's levels of hard work, I feel like. And I do agree. Like I do feel like I'm hardworking.
Fantastic. Can you share a little bit about your early education, elementary and middle school? What do you remember the most during these years?
Elementary education. Hmm. I think, well, I do remember, well, there was a funny story with that in
Yeah,
kindergarten.
please share.
I'm not too sure why I felt that way, but Um, going into school was different from my understanding when I first entered because, my mom and my dad were there. Like, I'm going to a whole new environment where my parents were there.
Hmm.
So the couple few months going into kindergarten, I was very, I adjusted, I was used to it, I was good with it. But then for some reason, I think a couple months later, I just started feeling homesick or feeling kind of
Oh.
sad that my parents weren't with me. So I started
Mm.
crying for some reason,
Mhm.
wanting them to be there. I'm not too sure why that was the case, but I think I was able to overcome them like after years of just trying to adjust to the new environment. But elementary school was great. It was fine. I guess in my opinion, like I don't remember too much about it. I just remember that I enjoyed a lot of the artistic side with working with arts and crafts
Nice.
in
Yeah.
elementary school. Um, Education wise, I think education wise, I was fair. I wasn't really taking it too seriously at that time, I think. I was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
trying to do what I needed to do and trying to grow into the person I was. I just remember I was always like when a teacher was telling me, "Oh, you're coloring the things wrong. It should only be one strokes like a certain way." I was like, what? But I like coloring it this way. So I was like
Yeah.
questioning like, am I doing something wrong and stuff like that? Because I would get in trouble with it. But yeah, I think elementary school was definitely a great way to kick off understanding like what I needed to learn. And but I will say though that with elementary school, something kind of did shift because I ended up becoming more shyer after a
Mm.
couple of years. Because I
Yeah.
remember going to elementary school, like my first like kinder and first grade and second grade, where I was more vocal and more talkative.
Hmm.
But I'm not too sure why I shifted though, because when it came to third grade, going up to fifth grade, I became more shyer as a person. And I'm not too sure if it was because I don't know if there's studies behind it, but I'm not too sure because I was told by a lot of teachers that I should behave more, or
Mm.
maybe you shouldn't be doing that. Like being told like you shouldn't do that and stuff like that. So it started like making me feel a certain way. So I stopped trying
Mm.
to be more vocal or talkative. So I'm not too sure if that might be the case. But yeah, I got more shyer when I got older in elementary school.
That's very interesting. So, do you feel like that kind of made you Like, do you feel like you would call yourself like a natural extrovert, but the corrections made you into an introvert?
I think so. Well, the reason I did like the MBTI recently, and I think I'm more of an ambivert now. So
Oh,
both
nice. So
extrovert, introvert. But I felt like there's studies with it because the I think growing up there was a lot of disciplinary actions that were done before. Like I think for me, like being told that I couldn't do this or I shouldn't do that
hmm
kind of made me revert back like, oh, so am I doing something wrong? So
mm,
I shouldn't do this and stuff. So it made me more quieter. So that's what I wanted to, I guess part of me wanted to understand like what happened with that. Like I was so happy, jolly, more involved, but then interacting with students and interacting with adults and then later being reprimanded for certain actions I did that weren't bad. They were just like, I was a bit more vocal and stuff, then it made me more introverted. So that was an interesting thing.
absolutely. You mentioned earlier that you joined the TRIO program around middle school. Can you tell us about that experience? Like you were very excited about it. What is it about Talent Search that drew you in or that kind of caught your attention?
I think that time when my homeroom teacher was explaining about Trio, it talked about these alumni who was able to go to school and get
Mm,
scholarships to attend college. And it was sixth grade. And I think that was the first time I heard of Trio in the sixth grade.
hmm
Because I haven't heard of the other Trio programs, but I was like, hey, this is a really good opportunity. I should definitely do it because, I want to be able to make my parents proud and let them know that, there's an opportunity for me to go to school. And since they've never been to school. And so when I joined, it was kind of nerve-wracking because I think I did remember there was like an interview process that had to go through. My
Oh,
parents had to go with me to that meeting. And but one thing was for sure was when I did get accepted, I I was definitely very involved because I wanted to learn more about college, wanted to learn more about how to improve in school, get better grades, get scholarships to pay for school. Um, but it was also difficult because you were meeting different students from different schools also.
you
So
are, yeah.
I got like I mentioned, I was shyer once I got older. So trying to make new friends from different schools was a challenge because
hmm
I've always been like the quiet type, the observant type. But I think trio along the years from like sixth grade going to my high school years and college years was that they really helped develop my confidence again because um like the person I was then to who
hmm
I am now, I wouldn't be here talking to you on this podcast if it wasn't
Oh,
for Trio
wow.
helping me with my confidence skills and my communication skills. So it really did change. I think it changed when I was transitioning to high school.
Wow.
Like that eighth grade year, I did a summer program with Trio,
hmm
and I started becoming more comfortable being able to communicate with different people. And like because you've been seeing them for like how many years already, and we're always seeing each other over there, the summer. It really helped me change going into my ninth grade year where I had a bit more confidence in myself to be able to talk to people, be able to advocate more for like academics and stuff, and talking to teachers and counselors about what my needs are. So I think Trier really helped develop that skill.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Are you seeking guidance to enhance your TRIO project's effectiveness and success? Look no further. Nosotros Education Center, NEC, is here to empower your TRIO project with expert consulting services. NEC's mission is to promote the effectiveness and impact of TRIO programs. Since 2003, NEC has specialized in providing professional development and in-service staff trainings, allowable cost services, for TRIO projects across the country. The team at NEC, with over 60 years of combined TRIO experience, offers customized workshops and seminars for project staff, compliance assessments, external evaluations, working on and submitting APRs, database customization and training, development of policies and procedures manuals, and project implementation or reorganization services. Additionally, NEC has secured over $774 million in federal funding with a 92% success rate through their live and on-demand proposal workshops, assistance with data collection and review, detailed technical reviews, and comprehensive proposal development services. Join the hundreds of colleges, agencies, and TRIO projects across the country who benefited from NEC's expertise. Nosotros Education Center, your partner in TRIO's project success. Visit their website at nosotros.edu.org. Again, that's nosotrosedu.org.
And now, back to the podcast.
I can remember when parents would ask their kids what they thought they would be when they grew up or what type of career they would end up. I remember my brother saying, they wanted to be doctors, firefighters, all that. I distinctly remember telling my dad that I wanted to be a radio DJ. So I'm going to ask you the same question. Did your parents ask you what you wanted to be around that age in middle school?
Middle school. They had asked, but they were never um very strict about like you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that.
Oh, I see.
Like coming
Hmm.
into like like you always hear about like an Asian household or a Southeast Asian household. Because growing up Filipino, they always tell you, oh, you have to become a nurse or you have to be an accountant or you have to go into engineering and stuff like that.
I've heard of these stereotypes where
Yeah.
you're kind of like hold into the thing that, or the family was trying to pressure you into going in one direction,
Mhm.
but you're saying your family wasn't like that.
No, they were never like that. I think it was more my extended family. Like, so you're gonna become a doctor, you're gonna be an engineer, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. But the funny thing was I was starting to believe that, hearing that from other people, that I should be a doctor or I
Mm-hmm.
should do this. But my parents never really forced me to choose a specific career. They told me like you decide for yourself. And I think one
Mm-hmm.
of the reasons why was our trio director, Mr. Yoichi Ringil, said something amazing during one of our summer programs was that he told parents you should have your child decide what they want to pursue if they're
Absolutely.
passionate for it. And so I think for them, like even before trio, they never really forced me to go into like medicine or what. They're trying to help explore what I wanted to pursue in the future. So yeah, so it wasn't a typical Filipino household where they told me you're gonna become a nurse or you're gonna be
Yeah.
a doctor, you're gonna be an accountant. It was they just gave me the decisions to decide for myself. As long as I was happy, as long as I'd be financially secure, I'll be able to support myself and support the family. Like yeah, so they were fine with that.
That's fantastic. I love hearing that they're so very supportive. So let's fast forward to high school. What do you remember most about this time in your life?
I'd say how competitive it was with academics
Mm-hmm.
and getting involved because I think this was the time when I learned about the merit scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
about getting a full ride scholarship to attend the University of Guam. So I was very focused on trying to make sure my grades was on top of everything and also getting involved in clubs and organizations.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I did I felt like I should have understood quality more than quantity because I think I was joining too much of those extracurriculars that the quality wasn't there. And
Mm.
but it made me learn that because at least I can share that with the students I'm working with that focus on quality over quantity. But yeah, it was a lot of focus on academics, making sure it was the top of the top grades, making sure I was straight A, making sure I was in top 10 to make sure I get that scholarship. So
Mm-hmm.
the funny thing was, it made me realize like the cliques in high school, like the
Mm-hmm.
top 10 cliques, I don't know if it's the same in the States, but it's very different here in Guam. Like the most popular kids on Guam are like the top 10 kids.
Mm, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're the ones who are involved either because top 10 students here on island, I think hasn't changed also when I was attending school. If you're very athletic, but
Mm-hmm.
very smart at the same time, or you're part of student council, you're involved in the community, So for us, the popular kids were the top 10 kids and trying to make sure that we were on top of everything. But there is always this secrecy of like, am I doing better than this other person? Is he gonna put me down on this other, like, am I gonna go like a lower rank and stuff? So it was like very difficult trying to establish friendships with, I guess for me personally, but I guess it's different for people, but friendships
Sure.
when you always had other people looking at your grades and seeing like how can I beat this other person to be top, like the top
Mm.
person. So that
Hmm.
was the hardship. Um, but things that change also because we actually had to move to a new school. Like coming into my going to my 11th grade year, we actually had to move to a new school because the school that we were in was already overpopulated.
Oh
So
wow.
a lot of redistricting. So a lot of it also is adjusting to the new environment in school as well.
Wow.
And making new friends as well in that journey. So, but high school was great. Trio was very much involved in my high school years also, trying
I
to
was just
understand.
about to ask you, like, did that involvement with Trio continue?
Yes, so definitely going into it, like I was so much more involved in understanding the tutoring services and the community service that they can offer me. I was also selected to go to do an exchange where for 6 weeks I went to Hawaii for the Upper Bound Math and Science, I
Oh
believe.
wow. Oh, these are one of those unique. So I heard about these
Mhm.
programs where you're able to do an exchange and
Mhm.
really, yeah, talk about it, please.
So originally, my 10th grade year, they actually went up to me and asked me if I wanted to do it. And I
Hmm.
said no, because my parents wouldn't let me. I
Mm,
was the
mm.
first, the oldest. My family is not ready for me to go, and I think my mom would not want me to go at all.
Yeah.
Um, so I declined that year, but
Hmm.
then the next year they're like, "No, you're going. So you have to tell your parents that you're gonna go." So my going into my junior year, I did. I decided to go. Did 6 weeks in Hawaii, and that's where I met James Oda, who is still one of my mentors today. Um, in Trio, and we had an amazing 6 weeks. I was able to experience living in a dormitory in UH Manoa. I got to meet other Trio students from the different high schools in Oahu.
Hmm.
Um, Learned about the Hawaiian culture. I actually got to take some classes at a college level during the summer with like it really helped improve my English, it helped improve my math, and also gave me a whole different perspective about education.
Hmm.
Because like how I mentioned earlier, like grades was like the most important thing for me going to high school because I wanted to make sure I get that scholarship to go to school. And one of the teachers there mentioned that grades aren't going to be everything. Grades aren't what doesn't define you. Um, because there's more to life than just the grades that you get in high school. So
Right.
it really did shift. Like I still focus on my academics, but I still wanted to focus on understanding beyond what there is with education, like, learning different skills and stuff like that. So when I was there for 6 weeks, I was with there was another student from Guam who joined me. So two of us went, and then two people from Saipan from CNMI also, and one from California and one from Kochirai. So there was a total of six of us total. And I think it was just really great experiencing how it was being independent, not being with family and being on your own to experience that. Um, it did push me wanting to go off island for school, but
Mm.
I think it wasn't the time yet. So that's why I decided to just stay back on Guam because I mean when I graduated from high school, I did get the merit scholarship. So it was more financially suitable and also I think there was a reason why I didn't go yet because I think I needed to mature more in order to be ready for venturing off island.
Okay. I'm gonna have us rewind just a little bit. At what point in your life did you start thinking about going to college? Like that, what inspired or what came about the idea that you're like, you know what, I want to try this college path?
I think when I was elementary school.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah. It was more like because my parents always telling me like go to school. Um and be able to get your college degree because me and your dad, like my mom would always say, and my dad would say, like, we didn't have this opportunity to go to college and get our degree. And they didn't want me to live a life where they were what they were experiencing, trying to raise me and my brother, where they were
Mm-hmm.
struggling, working paycheck to paycheck, um, sacrificing certain things that they couldn't buy for us also.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just, I think at such a young age, it was just already like, oh, I'm gonna go to college. And that was the end goal.
Right on. And you emphasize that your family really valued education, really valued this idea of going to college. In what ways did they prepare you or to ask the questions to get you to that point?
Well, the hard part was they didn't know how that was gonna work out.
Right.
So they're just like I think there is some advisement that were definitely not the correct advisement. But thanks to Trio, they were like we had the right foundations to work with. They're like, oh, just get a loan from the bank or to go to school and stuff like that. But Trio talked about FAFSA, talked about scholarships, financial aid. Um, they talked about, oh, do you want to go to California? We have relatives in California. Do you want to go to school there, or do you want to go to school in London? Because my sister is a nurse in London. So
Oh, wow.
it was a lot of like hearsay talks about like what do you want to do, but there wasn't really any foundational stuff like where do I start? And I
Gotcha.
think that's where I think I took that initiative when I heard about Trio. I was like, I'll join because I need that foundation to be able to help my parents along the way. Because
Absolutely.
sometimes, especially for a first generation student, and I've been seeing this a lot with the students I worked with, is that a lot of the parents who are trying to make a working paycheck to paycheck, their focus is trying to be able to get that money to help support their family. So in the
Absolutely.
back of their mind, you're not be able to think about like all of these educational resources, how to get there. And so Trio was the one that really definitely helped develop that skill set and understanding it. And now working here in ETS, it made me realize the importance of what we do as professionals in Trio, being able to help provide these information to students and also the parents, because they definitely would be lost if we didn't have this program and understanding what the routes are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. Talk about the moment you graduated from high school. What did this moment mean to you and to your family?
That time when when I graduated, I think part of me was happy, but
Mhm.
part of me was also like a little bit bitter at
Oh,
that
bitter,
time.
bitter. Why?
Because I was like, man, I could have been top one. I could have been top one.
You're going back to the
Because
rankings. Gotcha.
yeah, because of the ranking. I was bitter a bit that time because everyone, like, it's so funny because it was so neck and neck. Like our top one, I was top two, so it was neck and neck, and
Hmm.
a lot of the teachers and advisors were like, "Oh, it's gonna be this person. It's gonna be this person." So when it bothered, like I didn't want to know the percentage one, the percentage difference, but the assistant principal told us, "Man, Erickson, I thought you were gonna get it, but man, we had to go into the decimals to see the
To the
difference."
decimals to determine.
Yeah,
Wow.
so. It still haunts me till this day, but I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. It's a lovely story to tell. They always tell me like, you were just shy 0.0001%.
Whoa.
So I was like,
That's
oh
pretty
my God,
close.
pretty close. But yeah, it was still amazing opportunities. I mean, top two, haven't been like going to top two. That's still amazing opportunity, I think, like an achievement. So I'm definitely happy for that. But it's just a funny story to tell, like how I was happy but bitter at the same time.
And graduating from high school, did it give you like a sense of relief that it was done, or did you know that your educational journey wasn't over yet?
I think there was a sign of relief that, I could take a break from trying to be heavily academic focused. Like,
Hmm.
oh, I don't have to memorize all these stuff. I don't have to study. I can take a break. But, transitioning to college, that's the next step. And that was the biggest step also was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Because
Hmm.
I think part of it was it's amazing that my parents didn't kind of enforce me to pick a specific route.
Hmm.
But the double-edged sword to it is that what do I want to do? Like I started asking myself, what is it what I wanted to do? And so I think going into college, like trying to pick the majors was one of the hard part because prior to Japanese studies, East Asian studies, and philosophy with my major, like the external factors, your family's telling you should be a doctor and stuff like that. I ended up choosing biology for some reason for my
Well, that
major.
but biology makes sense, right? For a lot of folks that go into
Yeah.
medicine, they're like, I need to do biology.
Yeah. So did that because like, oh, the pre-med route, maybe I am going to try to become a doctor, but it wasn't. I like science, but I don't love science, but I like
Mm,
science, like understanding science. But
mm.
it was definitely college was definitely like transitioning from high school, thinking about college. I think it was more like thinking about what is it that I want to do while I was in school.
Absolutely.
That's
What did
why.
that preparation look like for you to be able to get ready to enter college? Like, were you making a last minute store run to get college stuff to be ready for college, or were there other things that you were doing in the background to get ready?
And I think I'm definitely like my current students right now that I work with the seniors. It finally hit me like it's so funny because when I work with the seniors, I'm like, how come you guys aren't prioritizing this? This is a deadline and stuff like that. But then I think back like, oh my God, I was just like them when I was young. Because the main focus was like graduation parties, hanging out with friends,
Yeah,
and
they the priorities are definitely different.
yeah.
So you said you saw a little bit of yourself in their own preparation.
Yes. So it's like I already know, like I'm like, okay, let's give it third week of June. They're probably gonna come in. They're gonna be like, sir,
Mm-hmm.
how do you do this? How do you do that? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it makes me understand like I was definitely in the same boat. So I did the same thing with my trio advisor. I was like, how do I do FAFSA? What do I need to is there anything I need to prepare for the placement test and stuff like that?
Yeah.
So definitely the priorities weren't there. But I guess when you start having fun and trying to like just like, oh yes, I graduated from high school, like let me just enjoy what's left, right? So that
Absolutely.
that was definitely the journey. Like I didn't study for my placement tests for EOG. I was last minute about submitting like some of my facts stuff and also not prioritizing like registering right away. So there's a lot of stuff, but I don't regret it. I think it's one thing that I can always tell that story with my students, like, hey, you need to be on top of these things because I went through the hardship trying to transition to college, but you're not because I already know what the experience is like.
I like that messaging of like, learn from me, look at my mistakes, and please learn from
Mm.
me. That I love that. So you decided to attend the University of Guam. Can you share with us your experience and what ultimately made your decision to go to the University of Guam?
It was definitely the merit scholarship. They would pay for everything up to 18 credits. And depending on funding, they would also go up to 21 credits. So I was like, oh, that's a great opportunity, right? Might as well take it. And you get that stipend, you get the book reimbursement. So I was
Hmm.
like, my parents don't have the financials to pay for school. So let me utilize the scholarship. And also I qualified for FAFSA for the Pell Grant. So that was additional help to pay for school. So I decided to stay. I think it was a wonderful decision just because when I was attending UOG, like I mentioned, it was really a journey in figuring out what I wanted to do, like what was my end goal. And while attending college, the first year I would say it was pretty rough,
Mm.
trying to adjust. I think at that time I wouldn't say I burned out, but at the time I wasn't like serious about the academics anymore. I mean, I still got the grades that I still got like straight A's or like good grades and stuff. But I wasn't the stress about getting a B or anything like
Hmm.
that for my
Hmm.
classes because I'm like, I worked hard in high school. Let me just take some time to adjust. But over the years, I got into biology, and the biology program wasn't really for me. It was still an amazing program, but it wasn't just hitting it for me. Like I wanted to do something more different.
Hmm.
And I guess part of me understood that I think my extroverted side started coming out again. going into college because I love working with people and connecting with people and being able to help them out with any issues that they may have or like just connecting and learning cultures. And at that time when I was in college, well, backtracking a bit, when I was in high school, I was involved with the Ambassadors Club, and
Mm.
we did a lot of Japanese exchanges because a lot of the Japanese students were coming into our high schools. And so we would coordinate events for them, get to know about them and their culture. And so going into college, I ended up joining the International Friendship Club because one of my friends told me, "Hey, there's this college, this program or organization that's similar to what we did in high school. I think you should join it." And it was one of the amazing experiences I've had because I was able to work and meet with people and students from Japan, South Korea, and China
Oh wow.
and being the first to interact with here on island because we were like their first people that they connect with in learning English and understanding the culture of Guam.
Hmm.
And with the club and organization, I learned a lot about like coordinating events and being an MC and looking at the educational curriculum when it comes to how to work with these students. And and through that experience, it shifted. That's where I guess my interests went into Japanese, East Asian studies, but then philosophy just because I love philosophical thought as well, like being able to think outside the box. And
That makes
I
sense.
utilize a lot of that in like coordinating events also. And I think the reason why is also it was the closest to international relations because we didn't have an
Oh.
international relations program here in Guam.
Hmm.
So it was very much in line with what I wanted to do at that time. And yeah, eventually it led me to my first job here at the university, which was the internationals program, coordinating events for international students and clients.
You kind of answered the question that I was going to ask you about how you chose your major. So that's an interesting path that you took to get there,
Mhm.
and that you were able to work in an office that really valued your skills. But I have to reflect with you a little bit because you majored in Japanese, East Asian, and philosophy studies.
Mhm.
Admittedly, these are tough subjects. How did you get all of that to like balance it and learn from these topics?
History, East Asian studies. I think anime played a part in it also.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because anime, you learn about Japanese culture at that time and you're listening. Because I watched before it was the English dub, but then over the years it was the Japanese dub. So I was hearing a lot of the Japanese already and then also learning the culture while watching the anime. And so even the history behind it. So I think part of it also was it is a tough major, but when you're really interested in what you're studying, it just makes it so much more rewarding, even through the
Mm.
hardship. Yeah,
Hmm.
I know how difficult it was definitely difficult trying to learn a whole different language and learning about the history of a different culture and how things work. And then with philosophy, learning about the thoughts, different thoughts from different philosophers over the years. So it was just I think my brain was wired to like wanting to learn about different things at that time. Like I think it switched from in high school it was all memorization, memorization, memorization. But when I went into college, it shifted into more critical thought, critical thinking.
Mm. That makes sense. Can you share ways that you were involved in college? Because you had an office job, you majored in three programs. How did you stay involved and how did you balance all of that?
It was definitely a challenge, I'd say. I would be lying to you if I told you I didn't skip some of my classes, but I did skip some classes because I needed to focus on like class assignments. But hey, it worked out. I mean, college is for you to be able to experience different things. I remember skipping one class because I needed to write this essay, but it was an essay I got a perfect score on, so it was something that I needed to do. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of balancing. But at the same time, what I was involved in with the working side was related to what I was studying at the same time. I was learning the language, I was learning the the societal behaviors and the cultural awareness of it also. So I was able to incorporate that while working in the internationals program. And at that time, also at college, my when I was taking this international business course with one of my
Hmm.
professors, he actually recommended me to do the scholarship program for Japan, for Japan Airlines, the
Oh, yeah.
I think it was a 6 week program in
Mm.
Japan over the summer. And it was also in line with when I was graduating from college. So once I graduated, it was to go there. It was all paid for. And I just tried it out and I got accepted. But it was definitely a challenge because everything was all in Japanese and my Japanese was not that great. And it
Mm.
was people from India, South Korea, Taiwan, China,
Whoa.
Australia, Singapore, and we were all collectively in a group learning about leadership, civic engagement, Japanese culture, doing presentations, but also practicing our Japanese at the same times. And we did field trip activities. But it was a great experience because it was very tied in with my major and also my job at that time at the university. So it was definitely a great experience.
What is something that college taught you about yourself?
Hmm, taught me about myself. Ooh, that is a very tough question. Hmm. What did college teach me about? I'd say I think college taught me to really lay out the plans in order to execute it efficiently.
Oh, wow. I like that
Yeah.
perspective. So being able to map out what you want and then
Yeah.
execute it. I like
Yeah.
that. That's very cool. What support, if any, did you receive while in college?
Support. Well, I was able to, well, the Merit Scholarship definitely supported that a lot. The Trio SSS program was an amazing support system also,
Hmm.
especially with the supplementary grant aid. So that helped additionally if I was qualified for it to help pay for school. They were there when I needed assistance with my essays because definitely essay writing was a challenge. One thing that I've learned is that writing essays in college is very different from writing essays in high school,
Oh, for
and
sure. Yeah.
I needed to make that adjustment. And being able to receive those assistants with SSS and having them review my essay writings was definitely a great support. Being able to have access to computers where I can print, where I didn't have to wait in like the computer center when there's a lot of people printing out stuff. So I
Yeah.
had that opportunity here. Um, Also meeting alumni and asking them questions about, what's how is this professor good, or what's a good program to apply for the summer and stuff like that. So it was definitely there's a lot of support from Trio SSS. And
That's wonderful.
then I think some of my professors were also very supportive. Like the craziest thing was that I learned how to write from my history professor. That was something that I was a shock with, is he was the one who helped me a lot with understanding how to think beyond the grammatical stuff in essay writing and really incorporate your own thoughts with supporting references also. So
That's awesome. So you were also a trio alum from the SSS program.
yes, so ETS
Wow.
and SSS, yes.
That's awesome. 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 You eventually graduated from the University of Guam with honors, may I add. You've worked super, super hard. What did this moment mean to you personally, being able to graduate with a bachelor's degree?
It was definitely an amazing experience, especially being the first in the family and letting
Hmm.
my parents see that, I got that bachelor's degree.
Hmm.
So I was super, super, super ecstatic and happy. Like being able to graduate, all the hard work putting into it. Um, and now I can say I have a bachelor's degree, like with our family, and 3 degrees at the same time. So, that's something that,
That is impressive.
yeah, so it was an amazing moment. I would say it really did spark that interest of like, should I pursue further higher education, what's the next objective and stuff like that. So definitely I was super happy with that. The hard work you put into it, you kind of like manifested it through the years. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna graduate, I'm gonna have my bachelor's degree. So
Wow.
yeah.
Did you have a certain career in mind post graduation?
At that time, I'd say that I really thought that I would stick with the internationals program because I did work at the internationals program after I graduated.
Right.
But the hard part with it was that I think my heart was in the educational aspect of it and connecting
Mm.
with people. But
Hmm.
because now when you're working in that field, it's very business oriented. So there's the different perspective with it.
Absolutely.
And at that time, I think I would say like, I was just graduated. Um, for me, like I was so young and naive, I think, because it was my first time working that job and trying to understand how the workforce is and stuff. So I kind of burned out working there
Oh,
because it was a lot of our clients need this, our clients need that. I can't say no to our client because you're working on trying to make profit off of all of the different programs or colleges that wants to study English here in Guam, and you're making money for the university and stuff.
right.
And it was hard trying to balance that because when you have like a department that doesn't say no and have to adapt and work with so many different programs, for me, I was conflicted with the the quantity versus the quality of the program. I really wanted it to be quality
Mm-hmm.
worth for the students, but the values were definitely not the same with um my supervisor at that time because their main focus was profit and quantity. And it's I guess I'd say it's because they were more heavily business focused and definitely understood that. I was more of a very educational focus. So there was a shift there. And that's when I saw that Trio ETS had an opening. And at that time, I wasn't thinking of staying with Trio for the most part. I think, if I was honestly speaking, I just wanted that shift in a different environment and then maybe
Mm.
move on to a different job after. But after working with Trio and understanding the mission now as a staff behind the program, it made me realize how much in line it is with what I want to focus. And I think the most interesting part of it, and one thing that I definitely advocated for, and I really love how our West Stop leaders and COE really helped with this, was I advocated for international travel because I worked for the internationals department at the university. And I talked about how, a lot of our students from the States are able to go to these campus tours to different states, learn about different colleges. But here in Guam, we're so limited with the University of Guam and Guam Community College,
Mm.
but it's super expensive flying them out to go to the States.
Mhm.
But because I have prior knowledge of the different colleges in Asia and also US accredited schools in Japan and South Korea, I really did push forward and advocated, hey, can we bring our students for these international campus tours to Japan and South Korea? And it took 3 to 4 years before they were able to be able to work something out with a policy shift with the U.S. Department of Education,
Wow.
and that was such an amazing news that we heard about like how students can travel abroad as long as there's U.S. accredited relations with it, and I owe it a lot to our West Stop leaders, Nick Childs, and even coordinating that meeting with our COE president, Kimberly Jones, and Angelica. And they didn't even know that there was U.S. accredited schools in Asia until I brought it up. So
Wow.
it really helped with their argument when they're pushing for that for the U.S. Department of Education, especially for the Pacific Islands, because a lot of our Pacific Islands chair programs, a lot of their students are going to China for college. A lot of them are going to Fiji. A lot of them are going to Japan. So what's preventing other students from Trio to experience that experience as well?
Absolutely. So now that you've been at this position for 10 years, which again, you said earlier, you said that was quite a shift because you went from working in international programs to now an educational talent search program. Can you tell us a little bit about your role and what you do within educational talent search?
So right now, definitely a lot of it is coordinating and scheduling like how we're going to execute our services. I think part of it is kind of figuring out what works throughout the years of what do our students enjoy, but also learning at the same time, like connecting them with the tree alumni and stuff. So it's been a lot of trial and error, I'd say, on my part and also on the team's part, because there's moments where things work out and things don't work out. But one thing that, like the first time I was working here, I was coordinating in school sessions, meeting our students during lunchtime
Hmm.
every 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And that was a lot for not just the staff, but
That sounds
also
like a lot.
for the counselors and the students, especially when your students are very involved with clubs and organizations. During
Hmm.
lunchtime, they can't join us for that. And so we listened to feedback from our counselors and they said, why don't you do an in-school session during school hours, but certain times so that it doesn't conflict with their school schedule, their curriculum and stuff. Like
Hmm.
maybe just like a couple, like every quarter. So we decided to do that shift, and it's been very effective and efficient. So being able to meet with our students quarterly helped a lot, because we noticed a huge spike in participation that time, because lunchtime was not efficient for us here.
Yeah.
So being able to call them out like period one, just meeting for them for like this quarter and then the next quarter and stuff really helped a lot. Also before, a lot of students were not involved with our workshops because they weren't, I think it wasn't marketed that well before, but social media was starting to pop up.
Yeah.
So that's when we had to transition into like Instagram, being a bit more creative with our posters, being more related, being more relevant to what students want to see with the workshops we're planning out. So that helped with the shift with our students coming in and participating in our events and our workshops. And it took some years to be able to build it gradually. And I think the crazy thing was that when we started working on like how to fix and coordinate these events, like what do the students want, what time is the best for them, and then what events can we do for them as well, like what careers are they interested in, especially with the registration having that in tied in, like
Hmm.
what are some careers you're interested in.
Hmm.
We saw an increase with our participations this past couple of years. I think the most we've had in one day was
Wow.
220 students
Uh-huh.
in one day, and I was
Wow.
like, this has never happened before.
That's tremendous participation.
With four staff, I mean, like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was like the part that like, but I think the hard part now, I think my challenge now is how do we keep them to stay in the program?
The momentum, yeah.
Because we're having a lot of them participating. How do we keep them engaged? How do we provide the services, but still something that is worthwhile for them? Because a lot of the kids that I've noticed that I've been working with, they're a lot more involved when it comes to what they want now.
Mhm.
I've noticed that. And I think before I came in thinking like, oh, it's just all fun. They just want fun. They want fun. They want fun. But they're very serious, especially the students that are coming in to the program are very serious about their future. And I realized I was like, wow, there's a huge shift. But sometimes it's just the parents who's making them apply. But it's actually them wanting to apply and taking the initiative to prepare for their future. So seeing that, it makes me and our team want to work harder to make sure that we're providing them like very effective information and preparing them for their future.
Absolutely. What is something that folks don't know about the TRIO Educational Talent Search program? I do feel like this program is sometimes overlooked or very underrated as a whole.
Mm.
So what is something folks don't know about ETS?
So whenever we do our recruitment, everyone always says, "Oh, upward bound, upward bound, upward bound,"
Oh
and
yeah,
I'm
that's the
like,
one that gets piped on most. Yeah,
"Yeah, upward bound is an amazing program."
great
But
program.
one thing that we always tell during when our recruitment was like, with our program, we're very flexible with how we work with you.
Hmm.
It's because we tell them, our events are not mandatory for you to attend every single event. If you can't make it, shoot us an email. We can reschedule and we can work with you. And the reason why I say this to these students is because as your advisor and how we encourage you to be involved with your programs, your school, you want to be involved with leadership, with sports, extracurricular activities. We want to encourage you to still participate in that. And so with our program, we're very flexible in how we work with you. So if we have a workshop and you can attend, that's fine, but we can always make it up some other time. That's what we always tell them. Because I know for Upper Bound, it might be different for different programs in the States or how it's being worked out at each institution. But I know here on Guam, our Upper Bound program, the way they run it is that is mandatory for a lot of students to participate. And also, it's very taxing, especially, being first generation. Some of them don't have rights to come.
Hmm.
So they have to be able to make those adjustments for them, but it's very difficult when it's mandatory and they can't go to every single event. So with
Yeah.
our program, we always tell them we can meet you via Zoom, we can meet you at school, we can talk to you via phone, we can meet you here in the office, or you can attend our workshops when you're available. So um, I guess what's so funny though is that when we've been marketing and expressing how Trio ETS is, they're starting to understand what Trio ETS is,
Hmm.
but they're seeing it more as Trio as a whole.
Oh,
So
right
they
on.
think Trio and Upper Bound are two separate things, but it's like Trio, ETS, Upper Bound, SSS. But they're
Right.
like, oh, this is Trio. But they always forget the ETS part.
Yeah,
I'll take it because it's still the Trio programs, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. What is your favorite memory working for Educational Talent Search?
My favorite memory, I have a couple, and it's when I see students calling or emailing, crying that they got accepted into school.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So the most recent one that I experienced was one of our students, she called me
Hmm.
and she was crying because she got accepted into three Ivy League schools on full ride scholarships.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So shout out to Nichelle Torsolino. She's currently attending Yale University. Um, but she called and she got accepted to Yale, um, Cornell, and UPenn.
Wow.
And she has an amazing video up because she applied to 20 different schools. And throughout that journey, she was rejected or waitlisted on majority of those schools. But the three Ivy League schools she got accepted into. And
Wow.
she called because she was crying because she was saying, like, thank you so much for all the help and stuff. Because we worked very hard since her 11th grade year with her essays, reviewing her college admissions. What can we work with, like the narrative on playing with her college admission essays. But yeah, a lot of it is when the students return to you to just
Mhm.
let you know that they appreciate the hard work you do is the most memorable thing about working with this program. And it happens every year. There's always someone. And you don't even know what they'll do for you, but like the parents, I've had parents who said, we'll treat you out to lunch because you really
Oh,
helped my daughter graduate from school, or
yeah.
someone coming in with like a gift or a gift card. And you don't even ask for that. You just do your job and you tell them, we're here to support you. We're here because we want to be able to, make your dreams a reality. But they remember all that kindness that you provided them and they come back unannounced, giving you these gifts and these appreciations because they love what you do
Mhm.
for the future generations and what you did with them. So
Absolutely. You said you had two favorite ones. So what was your second favorite memory or your second favorite memory?
favorite second memory.
If I'm putting you on the spot, I do apologize, but
Oh
I
no, no,
recall
it's
you saying you
okay.
had two of them. So I was like, let's hear the second one. I really want to know what the second one was.
What was the other one? Oh, there was a lot. Man, there's a couple, but I think one would be Darlene Ferrer, one of my students. Worked with her since 10th grade. We worked with her in understanding scholarships, her academics. I've written recommendations letters for her, even in college for her postgraduate programs. And she is doing amazing right now. And I've actually also met with her and a couple of our other alumni in Washington, D.C., because I invited them to advocate for TRIO during policy seminar
That's
every
awesome.
year.
That's
And
awesome.
so with her, she messaged me one time and told me, Mr. Erickson, because I was doing the leadership program one time for Westop and COE, the Educational Leadership Institute, and
Hmm.
the ELI program, and I was talking about risks, taking risks,
Hmm.
and I was talking about that earlier, and she said, "Yeah, Mr. Erickson, you're right. I need to take that risk also. Like, what's gonna happen if I don't try?" So she
Hmm.
tried.
Hmm.
So she graduated valedictorian of the University of Guam
Wow.
and also valedictorian of JFK. And when she graduated, she got accepted to Johns Hopkins School of Medicine for a doctoral diversity program. So she did 2 years of research there. And it was so, it feels amazing, but sometimes I feel like God is aligning everything because COE for ELI at the same time was at Johns Hopkins. So I was able to work with her
Wow.
there
Yeah.
to she gave me a campus tour of her university. She got to share like her experience, and then she asked me to be her recommendation letter, write a recommendation letter for her for University of Michigan. And so I did. I wrote her that letter, and it was for medical school. And that time she we met at Washington, D.C. for policy seminar. And every time we were attending like different places, Michigan kept on popping up. Oh, this is the Center for Michigan. Oh, this is someone from Michigan, stuff like that. So it was kind of like a sign to her, like, I think Michigan is the school for you for medical school. And she ended up accepting it because it gave her a full ride to go to
Wow.
medical school for free, tuition free. So
Wow.
she just finished her first year of medical school, going into her second year. And she is definitely one of the biggest supporters of Trio because she always comes back advocating and talking to our current students about, hey, if you want to become a doctor, I can help you. I can share these experiences with you also. So definitely always tap onto her.
That's awesome. What does your career look like in 5 years? Are you still in trio? We hope.
I'm hoping so. Will I become a future director? Hopefully, maybe.
Sounds like it's
We'll
in the
see.
cards.
But you never know where life will take you. But one thing I will say is that Tree is always going to be a part of that
Absolutely.
because it's something that needs to be shared more often. I think we're doing such a great work right now advocating about Trio um, everywhere on the news. And I think part of my goal is that I want to be able to spread Trio's message more. And working in Trio for five and within the next 5 years, definitely. I think I want to be able to incorporate more international civic engagement and travel
Hmm.
because that's one thing that definitely broadens a student's horizons, being able to see something different.
Absolutely.
One of my students, actually, I guess I'm sharing another student's experience. She got accepted into the one that COE makes them travel to the Netherlands. So she
Oh,
got
okay.
the
Yeah, yeah,
keys
yeah,
here
that
and
one.
yes. So she just came back. So she did a week in the Netherlands for her leadership program.
Wow.
And she made me cry before she traveled because she told me, sir, when I was in ninth grade, when I was a incoming freshman for UG, you told me about this program and it was just in the back of my mind. But now, because of you, I applied, and now I'm going to this
Wow.
program. So we shared like a sentimental moment that time.
That is
And then,
impactful, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just feels so connected. Like one thing I would say though, trio professionals need to get paid more.
Absolutely. Y'all deserve all the payments,
Yeah.
all the raises because and I was a Trio staff member before. This is what inspired this podcast, was to hear the Trio community and talk about
Mhm.
the impact that they have on their local communities, on the students, and how
Mhm.
they build up their journeys and go off to be what they want to be. Like Trio really does help them become that full citizen that education seeks out to do.
Yes, definitely. And it's just so sad because a lot of the staff members have the heart for the students,
100%.
but the funding itself is it's hard to be able to live in this economy when everything's so expensive, especially with the
Mhm.
amount of things that we do for the kids.
Absolutely.
And definitely that's something that needs to be advocated more is that we need more budget to be able to continue the program, to have staff who aren't burned out, who are leaving, because they definitely love this program. It's just that the financials is always in the way of what their heart wants to pursue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What advice is a good segue to this next question? What advice do you have for trio professionals who are listening to this podcast?
I'd say if you have the heart for the kids, take advantage of all of the professional development that Trio has to offer and making those connections. Just because you're gonna learn so much and hear from different perspectives and also be able to implement that in your work. But one thing that I did learn a lot of the times, you have to be able to adjust those different advisements to how it is in your environment. But sometimes it may not work. And what it might work in Nevada or might work in Florida, but it might not work here in Guam or in Hawaii. But still being open and appreciative of all of the advice and connections you make. Um, and really, I really think it's also um, having a what's it called? A having grace and also the right attitude
Mm.
working
Hmm.
in the program because you want to be able to utilize whatever professional development or the connections you made in the program, but be appreciative of it. Because if you are in the right mindset, it will take you places, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kind of twist the question now a little bit. What advice do you have for trio participants, whether they're in college, pre-college, trying to get back into college? What advice do you have for them?
Take the risk.
I love
Like,
that. You brought
yeah,
it back to taking risks.
yeah. Because you don't know where it's going to lead you. But at the end of the day, I always tell this to my kids. The worst they can say is no, but the best thing they can say is yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Before I get segue into this next question, as you already pointed out, the current presidential administration is seeking to eliminate the TRIO programs and their skinny budget. What can ordinary folks do to promote, advocate, and make sure that TRIO gets its funding to support first generation limited income and students with disabilities?
Tell the stories, share the stories. And I know COE always mentions that the stories are what makes the program very valuable. And I already know that we have the data to back it up. We have APR, we have all of these research and all of these information that COE is compiling. So the data is there. All of the data to support the program is there. It's sharing the stories because you want to tug on those heartstrings of a lot of those people in positions who are in charge of the budget. And I think we're doing an amazing job reaching out to news outlets, reaching out to our congressmen, our senators, and a lot of the leaders in Trio I know are working very, very hard to meet those people. I know COE is doing an amazing job. Our regional associations are doing an amazing job. And I think we just have to continue with that momentum because um and I'd say let's continue that momentum for many, many, many more years to come because it doesn't just stop here because there's always going to be challenges along the way, and we need
Absolutely.
to be collective as a trio family to be able to advocate for our students and also our staff and the community because trio is here to stay because we know trio works.
Absolutely. What is something that you are listening to, watching, or reading?
Right now? Damn. I don't think I'm like so focused on a specific thing, but I'd say one thing for sure is that I've been trying to be more closer to my religion these past couple of years and trying to understand the full message of what it means to care for yourself and care for others.
I love that. That's wonderful. I like how that's very reflective of you and the continuing growth of self-improvement and showing what it is to show care for others. Using only one word, describe yourself.
Resilient.
Resilient.
Yeah.
Perfect. Erickson, it has been a true pleasure to have you on the Let's Talk Trio podcast. Thank you for giving us some time of your day today. We have a tradition on the Let's Talk Trio podcast where we have the guests sign off. Do you care to do the honors?
Sure. If you have a big dream that you want to pursue, put your whole heart and soul into it and take that risk because you don't know where it will take you. I say this authentically because I know that there's always going to be hardship that people have to go through, but if you definitely put in the work into it, you will be rewarded in the end. And always reach out to your trio professionals out there because they have the heart to help. And the reason why I say this is because I'm a testimony to how trio works.
Are you a participant, alum, or staff of a trio program? Do you want your program highlighted? You or your program could be featured in an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Trio. Get a hold of us by going to our Facebook page or Instagram and send us a direct message. Search for Let's Talk Trio. We want to get your story to the public.
You just heard from our guest, Erickson Aquino, Trio alum and project coordinator for the Educational Talent Search Program at the University of Guam. Thank you, Erickson, for being on the podcast and for sharing your trio journey. Remember, if you would like to be on the Let's Talk Trio podcast or know a staff, advocate, participant, or alumni, send us an email at letstalktrio@gmail.com. That email again is letstalktrio@gmail.com. A heartfelt thanks to our individual supporters, Angelica Villalpando, Dr. Jamie Motley, Dr. Ryan Barone, Dr. Jeff Napudi, Angelica Valdez, Rosario Riley, Felicia Rivera, Eric Lamaster, Jeff Calden, and Jaded Electronics. Thank you to our corporate sponsors, TrioJoblist.com, Nosotros Education Center, Longsdale Publishing, Student Access, and The Trio Store, powered by Proforma. Visit www.thetriostore.com, your source for trio graduation stalls. Thank you all so much for your support of this podcast. You too can sponsor the Let's Talk Trio podcast in one of three ways. Become a monthly patron on Patreon. Our base level starts at $1 a month. Become a corporate sponsor by placing an ad on the podcast. Contact us for details. Become a supporter with a one-time donation to the podcast business PayPal account. Our business handle is @Let'sTalkTrio. I'd like to take a moment to thank our honorary members of the Let's Talk Trio podcast, Roderick Chambers, Tony Ho, Scott Kendall, and Susan Cramp. The Let's Talk Trio podcast team is John Russell, audio engineer, music producer and composer, and post-production editor. Amelia Castañeda, script supervisor, marketing manager, social media manager, and producer. Juan Rivas, executive producer and host. Be sure to follow the Let's Talk Trio podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. This episode was recorded on Thursday, July 24th, 2025 Mountain Standard Time, and Friday, July 25th, 2025 Chamorro Time in Guam. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode.